there's more than 100 crypto exchanges, but in this industry, only one or two every country. So I think we need to first ask the question, why is there a need for so many exchanges? And if there is a need for exchange, then what is the need? What is the essence? That's the question we need to ask, because if not, this industry is only going to get smaller rather than stay where it is today. And there are over 20,000 crypto exchanges around the world right now. So this is a very crucial question. So to answer that question, I will propose an idea. That is to say, crypto exchange is actually a type of fund, a new paradigm fund. It's a new paradigm fund that we will run into as we get to encounter more and more blockchain-based assets. More blockchain-based assets. So there are two ideas that I will be new ideas that I'll be talking about with you today. One is asset tokenization. The other is subjectivity of listing. So these two aspects, they decide the essence of crypto exchanges, which is to say that they are a type of investment fund in blockchain industry. So I'll give an example. So what does it mean to tokenize an asset? Let's take this for an example. A high quality real estate asset like this building in Yeouido, it's IFC building, that was sold in 2016 to Brookfield. And it was $3 billion. And the institutional investor behind it was called CIC. It's a government sovereign fund of China. And there are only very limited number of institutions that can do this deal. Only two investors in Korea. One is MPS, 국민연금. The other is KIC, which is 한국투자공사. But the irony in here is that these two institutions, and also including the CIC, they are actually funded by the money from our pocket. 국민연금 and KIC, their money is from Korean population. But we cannot invest in those kind of investments. We cannot take a piece of IFC, high quality asset, which gives a dividend of interest rate. You can think of it as interest rate of about 6% a year, and it's very stable in its value. So it's a lot of people, like my mom and dad, will also like to have a piece of it, but we cannot buy that. But that story can be changed if IFC can be tokenized. Have you thought about the day where we will be able to buy IFC token or IFC coin? You can buy $1,000 amount of IFC coin and get a dividend, get an interest rate out of that. That's going to be possible with asset tokenization, and it's the trend that we're seeing right now. And there's another need for asset tokenization. I'll give another example. 오비맥주 was bought and sold by KKR back in 2014. They bought it for $2 billion. They sold it for $6 billion. So they made $4 billion. 4조 won was their profit. And do you know how much money that the partners who were involved in the deal made? Joseph Bay, KKR, the partner of Asia, he made 2천억 won as his bonus for this one deal. A partner company of KKR, Affinity Partners of 이철주, who was a 한국 대표, he made 1,000억 won as a bonus for this deal. There's another very familiar example that Korean people know very well. It's an example of Lone Star. Lone Star was back in 2001 IMF. They bought GFC and they made about $1 billion, 1조, right? And I know a guy who did an intern there at Lone Star office, Seoul office. He did intern for about 3 months, and he made 1억 won, right? So there's a question that comes after all these. You start to think, so all these profit that they're taking in as a middleman, it can be only explained by two things. One, they're making great amount of value out of this, or two, there is great amount of inefficiency in this process. And we think that it's the latter. There is truly in the financial market, even though it seems very efficient, a very inefficient part of it that middlemen are taking right now. And asset tokenization is something that can get rid of these middlemen and bring investors right beside the investable assets. Another aspect that I want to talk about is the subjectivity of listing. So here I've clipped some scraps of newspapers of Upbit, GoPax, and Bitsum, how they're listing, on what criteria, what kind of standard. One word to explain is subjectivity, or we could also say random. So random from our perspective, but from their perspective, they have their own standard, right? So this is actually a very crucial point that many people miss in the crypto exchange industry. Why does this matter? Let's look at the next slide. So these are the traditional exchanges: Kosdaq, NYSE, Nikkei, Nasdaq. And this is a table that you have to, this is criteria for listing in Nasdaq, Kosdaq. So if you look here, unlike crypto exchanges, the Kosdaq has very specific and objective standards that you have to meet in order to list. So there's revenue standard, there's net profit, you have to be how many O's of a company. So if you meet those standards, the predictability of listing is very high. So it's very objective. So when it's objective, you don't need 5, 10, 100 exchanges. You only need one. So that's the biggest difference between the traditional exchanges and the crypto exchange that we have right now. Next slide. So I talked about these two aspects. What does it mean as a crypto exchange becoming an investment fund? So asset tokenization, it means that the distance between investor and investable asset is going to be very close. So traditionally you couldn't invest in Yoido IFC. There was no way for you to invest, but now you can, if it's tokenized, right? But where are you going to invest? Where are you going to buy IFC coin from? You're going to buy from an exchange, crypto exchange. Next. The subjectivity of listing, it means that the exchange does the first selection for you. So in essence, that they're recommending an investment, for you. So that's what they're doing in compared to what the traditional asset managers used to do. They are recommending, they're doing the selection, and they think they're doing very well. So that combined, we see the crypto exchanges increasingly playing the role more as an investment fund than a traditional exchange. So, back to the first question, why is there a need for so many exchanges? It is because they have subjectivity and they bring people together to investable assets and they make the selections. So the crypto exchanges are going to be multiple, but they're going to be more specialized, more focused on, and they need to have their own characteristics and positioning. So how does crypto exchange, as an investment fund, as a new type of paradigm investment fund, create value? So first, crypto exchanges need to eat their own cooking. What does that mean? Right now, crypto exchanges, they still make money whether the user loses money or make money. Especially when they lose money, the interest between the users and the crypto exchanges, they differ vastly. This needs to be fixed. If you're an investment fund, what does a traditional investment fund do? If I take the money from my investor in this institution and I invest on their behalf, then I also invest a portion of the investment as my money. So if the investment goes wrong, I will also lose money. So that's how they eat their own cooking. So right now, crypto exchanges are not doing that. And we believe this is a very crucial interest alignment that needs to be fixed in the near term. And the crypto exchanges need to positively influence primary market. What does that mean? Right now, the primary market, with the ICO market, there's unreasonable discount in ICO market that creates distorted incentives for the ICO market participants to sell as quickly as possible